It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to the Sunday night edition of the Sports Report Live. Coming to you each and every week. This week, a little anxiety, at least on my part. My beloved Pittsburgh Steelers in the midst of battle right now, going up against the Buffalo Bills. We have a special guest for you on tonight. We're going to hear from Coach Connell Maynor of the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. We'll discuss the 2020 schedule and kind of get his insights on this Celebration Bowl 2019 edition. Some heavy news that has come from the sources of USA Today. We'll touch on that a little bit tonight as we dig a little bit deeper on that story. Plus, we'll hear from Johnny Football Cole. Looks like the Steelers have just scored. Pending the PAT, they'll be going up 10-3, and that's always an exciting thing to deal with. Hopefully everything is going good with you guys on this lovely evening, December 15, 2019. I want to give a congratulations to my lovely wife. Stephanie received her master's in Education Administration from Lamar University. So we made the trek to Beaumont, Texas, and we were able to get that all taken care of. Panthers falling short to Rice today in the women's division, I should say, of basketball. Men fell short to Loyola Marymount, I should say. And FCS playoffs rolling right along. James Madison. And it appears that North Dakota are on course to meet in Frisco. And there's so much going on. We still have the Celebration Bowl that's going to be coming up real soon. But what we're going to do is we're going to take us a quick break, and then we'll get our first guest on the line tonight. That's none other than Coach Connell Maynor of the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. You're listening to the Sports Report Live right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network from Prairie View, Texas.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages! The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you 1 chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. I'm in. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Each team starts their journey on separate roads, but they all converge to one road to the championship. There will be revenge and redemption. There'll be an Aggie and Eagle standoff. There'll be Bulldogs and Bears colliding with Tigers and Spartans. Hornets fighting off Bison and Wildcats rattling the Rattlers. The road has twists and turns. And when it ends, one thing is certain. Only one team will claim the title. MEAC champion.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sports Report Live. The radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, here with you. Pittsburgh Steelers up 10-7 as we're doing this thing. But we're going to veer away from that right now. We have a very special guest with us on tonight. He has done some creative and wonderful things in the land of Huntsville, Alabama, with the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. We're going to present to some and announce to others the head football coach, Coach Connell Maynor. Coach, how you doing? And welcome to the show, sir.
I'm doing good, Mike. Thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure to be on, man.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, sir. Another solid performance, but that has been your makeup, Coach. You came from the MEAC and came over to A&M, and you've been able to put together a couple of solid seasons, and it's part of the makeup of your DNA as far as building good programs wherever you've gone.
Yeah, it's a process, Mike. We got the thing turned around. We had 6 straight losing seasons, and we had a winning season for the first time in 6 years last year, and we wanted to make sure we at least have a winning season this year. But we was right there. We was knocking on the door, man. We was one game away, one play away, really a couple inches away. Alcorn game where we scored with no time left, but my receiver stepped out and was the first one to come back in. And so they took the touchdown away that would have won the game. So we was one play away from being in the championship game this year. And so I'm just proud of my coaching staff and my players for responding and taking coaching and just everybody being on the same page and the culture and the mindset that we're trying to install in these guys. Everybody's buying in and we're close.
Yes, sir. Now, Coach, you came from Hampton, and there was in the midst of a controversial storm. Hampton deciding to leave the MEAC, and they went on. I won't say was it the Big South or whatever it was, but
Big South.
Yeah, they went to the Big South, and you left, and rumors go here and there, but you know how rumors go. But you come and you see this opportunity to come to Alabama A&M. What was it that made you say, you know what, I'm coming to Huntsville?
Well, I thought that, the state of Alabama and how much they love their football, the SWAC love their football. SWAC has led the FCS in attendance for multiple years. And so I knew the love of the game here in the state of Alabama and Huntsville. And, they had a lot of success in the early 2000s of winning seasons. And so I knew that you could build a program and be successful at Alabama A&M.
Okay, and with that being said, when you assessing everything, it's just like everybody's kicking the tires. The institution's kicking the tires on you. You're kicking the tires on the institution and looking at what you have to work with. When you first got on the scene to assess the skill set that you had available to you, plus knowing of your recruiting abilities, were you like the mad scientist in the laboratory just rubbing your hands together with that wicked laugh?
Well, it's hard to tell. You kind of look at and try to see if you see skills, speed, hands, and you look at the quarterbacks and see if you see them making reads, coming to their second read. If they're being smart with the ball, getting rid of it when exposed to situational football, things of that nature. And I kind of thought we had decent amount of talent in that respective. Wins, losses, of course we didn't, because they hadn't won in 6 years. So, what I look at is how hard they playing. If the guys got a little mean streak in them, and if they got some ability, and then it's just a matter of coaching them, getting them on your same mindset, teaching these guys how to win, how to compete, and then expecting to win. A lot of times you come in those losing programs, those guys don't expect to win, and that's such a huge hurdle to get over. Because something go wrong, they say, okay, here we go again. We're going to lose this game, or it's about to get away from us. And so you got to get them out of that mindset and that mindset of competing and being competitive and not being surprised when you are competitive or you are winning the game and expecting to be there and then finishing it off.
Absolutely, because you got to drive it in. I guess that's all the buzzword about changing the culture. That, hey, man, you're busting your chops just like these other guys are busting their chops. So don't be surprised when you have success. You expect to have success because you're putting in the proper time.
That's right. You got to pay the price, man. I always ask the guys, what you going to do different, And so You got to put it in and put the work in, and what you put in the game, the game will give back to you. It's not going to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be winning championships. So, you got to set that mindset and get those guys prepared and willing to sacrifice. I always tell them you're going to suffer one or two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of disappointment from regret.
That's. I might have to steal that one, Coach, if you don't mind. That's
Go
all
ahead.
right.
Go ahead.
Now, look, Coach, you come in, you have a track record of being successful wherever you've gone. And how much pressure is it for you when you inherit an institution? In the case of Alabama A&M, they hadn't had success on the winning ways in 6 years. Then let's not talk about the other infractions that you had with the sanctions or whatnot. How much pressure is that on you to come in being, I got to make an impact and I got to make an immediate impact? Or is it something that, I walked in with my eyes wide open and I'm just going to kind of graze through here and sort this thing out gradually?
Well, it's a little bit of both. You got to evaluate the situation, and that's why you go talk to universities and you make sure that everybody's on the same page. You know exactly where you stand, scholarship-wise, violations and things of that nature. And I came into it with my eyes wide open, understanding where we were and what we had to do, and understanding that's a process. And I think that we made giant strides in the first 2 years of where we at. But the key is that for the head coach and the administration, the athletic department, football AD, the presidents to always be on the same page, wanting the same thing. Wanting to be successful, wanting to win, and win at the highest level.
We're talking right now with Coach Connell Maynor of the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Bulldogs, as Get Smart would say, missed it by that much in the Southwestern Athletic Conference Eastern Division, Alcorn with their sixth consecutive Eastern title. We'll talk about them in just a moment. But, Coach, you just made a very valid point about all people being on the same page, president, administration, coaching staff, and the ball players. With the new life of transfer portals and all this stuff that opens up, there's been a big old article that the USA Today has come out with over this weekend that affect some HBCU institutions. Are there ever some situations to where you might want a player, or the administration say you might get a player, but then once you do a little further check, that you say, you know what, we're going to have to pass on this one?
Oh yeah, it's you always get those situations. I tell you, Francois from Florida State.
Uh-huh.
I had a chance to pick him up, and his not agent, but his whoever was helping him called me and said if I wanted him, I had him. We had visited that situation when it first happened, and after I saw the video. And what he was saying and what I said, I can't bring him to my program, because my main rule in my program is we don't disrespect women. That's somebody's mother or somebody's sister or somebody's aunt, and you don't want nobody disrespecting your mother, your sister, your aunt. And so we're not going to disrespect no women. And so just by the mere fact that tape that I saw, I couldn't bring him into my program and then me say we're not going to disrespect women. Because that's what he did in that format. So, that I look at all of them, I evaluate them, and sometimes they get a bad rap. Sometimes you can just be in the wrong place at the wrong time, or somebody can accuse you of something, then come back later and say that you didn't do anything. But guess what? It's too late. You'd have been kicked off the team, or you already been accused of it. So if it's one of those situations where everything is thrown out and the female said, she lied on him and things of that nature, I'll take a chance on a kid. I give a kid a second chance. That's what I think that we're here for, and nobody's perfect. But in a situation where she's not saying that and he did it, and it's not for my program.
Right. I understand that and respect that. Now, I've always been brought up that there are three sides to every story: your side, my side, then somewhere in between is the actual truth. And as you say, with that due process, then you have other people that are echoing, you should stay at home and don't use the HBCUs as a fallback. How do you feel about that?
It's different folks. It's different strokes for different folks. I think I don't think sometimes you got to go out and you got to live and you got to make decisions and you realize that you might have made a bad decision, or you might have got there and they might have told you one thing and they're not living up to what they said, and so you say, okay, well I'm going back, And so one thing I do when I'm recruiting a recruit that's recruited by a bigger school and he signs with a bigger school, let's say Tennessee, and he really gave us a lot of interest, I just let him know, look, you got a home. If it get good and don't work out, you're not getting the playing time you wanted, or you just don't like the situation, you get homesick, you got a scholarship at A&M. So sometimes the fallback is good, and then sometimes it's not. It just all depends on if the kid got in trouble, if he was always a trouble, or something of that nature, or if he wasn't happy, wasn't playing as much as he won't. But we know he can still play. He want to come back home, then we'll sign him.
Very good, very good, very good. Now, I'm pretty sure that you stay aware of the pay-to-play sanctions that are just coming down. Are you in favor of that? Do you see that being a potential challenge or a plus with your program?
Well, I think that the athletes should be paid because they make their universities and the NCAA so much money. But I think it needs to be monitored. I think it should be like stipends, and I think Power 5 conferences should make a little more than FBS, regular conferences, and I think FBS should make a little bit more than FCS. FCS should make more than D2, D2 more than D3, D3 more than NAIA. And you make it reasonable. You don't make it too big of a difference, because if you make it a big difference, then everybody's going to want to sign with whoever they get the most money.
Right.
They'll pass up playing at FCS, they go sit on the bench at FBS because the difference in pay is so much. So you don't want to come to that point to where kids be like, well, I don't care what they say. I'm going right here. See, this bench make this money right here, instead of playing. Living your college life. You got 4 years to play college football. You need to be playing. You go to college, play college football, get an education, then you go make your money. So. Don't pay them enough money where people want to not play and sit out somewhere and make the money, So you pay the Power 5s. Those conferences bring a little bit more money in, bowl-wise, and just they travel so much in TV. So you pay those guys a little bit more than you do regular FCS conferences. And then you got your mid-majors and you got FCS, and so you just keep lowering it just a little bit and you pay everybody. And that way you keep it pretty much the same it is now. You won't lose anybody. The people that was already going to FBS and major colleges are going to still go because they still won't get the extra sweatsuits and shoes and all that extra that they get now that my guys don't get. So it won't be any different.
Right. Now, with all the money that the NCAA is making, I call them the mafia because they got everything on lockdown. They could also help kick in on some of them stipends, couldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, they should. They regulating everything, so they definitely should kick in on it.
Absolutely. We're talking right now with Coach Connell Maynor, of the Alabama A&M Bulldogs, talking about the successful 2 years. But Coach, I got to admit, man, when I looked at your 2020 schedule, I said bravo. I had a thought of why the schedule was like it was because, I get a chance to listen in and speak with you throughout the teleconference from the Southwestern Athletic Conference on a weekly basis. And you were one of the, if not the only one, that made mention that with a couple of the big games that you had, like I believe it was Northern Alabama, that with a win like that and you have a successful run, it could set you up for potential FCS playoffs. And when I look at your schedule, although the goal is to win the SWAC and to make it to the Celebration Bowl, were you also thinking, in case that didn't fall through like playing, a possible at-large invitation for FCS playoffs?
Of course. That's the only reason I did. That's why I played Sanford last year. Sanford is a playoff team. And, UNA, so you want to play those teams and and show the FCS committee and those guys that you could play with them and you could beat them, And so, we don't have after the game, a game after the regular season like Southern and Grambling. They play in the Bayou. I think Prairie View and Alabama State play in the Turkey Bowl or something. They play that the first week of the playoffs. So They can't go to the playoffs. They've given up their right to go to the playoffs. Only thing they can do is go to the Celebration Bowl. And they have to win the conference to do that. So we can go next year. We can go 10-1, lose to Alcorn, and Alcorn will go to the championship, and we go to the playoffs.
Right.
Because we play playoff teams, and we'll be 10-1, and we'll be ranked, and we go to the playoffs and have a chance to win a national championship. So
absolutely.
We beat Alcorn, we get a chance to win a Blackhawks national championship. If we don't, we get to go to the playoffs and win a national championship. So that's exactly why I do it, play those teams. And, we had a couple of D2s on our schedule this year, but, you have to kind of schedule those, your schedule like 2 or 3 years in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And so my schedule for the last 2 years was already made pretty much.
Right.
By previous coach and AD. So now you're starting to see the teams that I want to play. And that's why I schedule them like that. I don't want, it hurts you to play two D2s for the playoffs. They don't want you to play two D2s. That's almost impossible to get in and play in two D2s. So, that's why I don't have any on the schedule this year. And so we playing FCS schools, and then we got Mississippi State. So we got 3 very tough non-conference games, and those games will get you ready for the conference and let you know where you are and what you need to work on, what your strengths and what your weaknesses are by playing good football teams. You play a D2 and you just run through them. You still don't know where you're real strong or real weak at because the level of competition that you're playing. So I've done that purposely.
Well, I applaud you for that because it shows too that you're serious about your commitment to the game, and not saying that other coaches are not committed to the game, but outside folks. We had Greg Seiss, who's the committee chair for the FCS playoff selection, and he pretty much laid out the formula. They said you get bonus if you beat the FBS school, but because you're all FCS programs, you understand you got to have that game to help with your financial structure. But when you get other FCS games and you're winning these games, and then you can't help what your conference is, and like you mentioned, you lose one game in conference and you still excelling, or one game out of conference to that FBS program, it still puts you at a legitimate bargaining chip, at least to be mentioned at the table.
Right, it does. And, we still get overlooked sometimes. I think South Carolina State got overlooked this year. I think they was 9-3.
Yes, sir.
Or 8-4.
They were 9-3. It was a bona fide record. But my response to that, though, Coach, is what we, and I'm talking about HBCU programs, you have to be consistent. It can't be every 5 years you have an outbreak year and then expect them to come calling. If you're showing consistency.
You're exactly right. See, let's say we wind up 8-3 next year. We get in the playoffs. And the reason why is because we won 6 games last year. We won 7 this year. And then we win 8 next year. So we kind of putting ourselves on the radar as a team to watch. Now, if we would have had 2 losing seasons the past 2 seasons, and then we went 8-3, we probably wouldn't get in.
Right.
Because we probably never would have got ranked, But by us playing the 2 teams that we played first, if we beat these 2 teams, we're going to be ranked week 3. We might be 25th, but we're going to be ranked.
Yes, sir.
And so, and then we just keep winning, you keep moving up the board. And so that's how you get there. But you have to get on the radar. But the thing about South Carolina State this year was they was 9-3. They beat Wofford.
Yes, and that was my echoes to Mr. Seiss. I'm like, okay, you beat one of your guys who was in your top 10, and that didn't account for anything?
Right. I mean, come on, you're 9-3, and you beat Wofford, a top 10 team that's in your tournament. And they've proven they could beat a top 10 team in your tournament, and you don't let them in? Right. Are you serious? You know what I'm saying? So they need to do better. They need to do better.
Yes, sir.
You know?
I love the passion, Coach. I'm feeling this 100%. And another thing that I love, whether you were in the MEAC, the SWAC, or in other conferences that you've been in, your offensive approach, because you have a quarterbacking background, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, with your offensive approach, from what I've gathered, you don't really have a particular set scheme. It's almost like you have a multi-purpose offensive playbook, and whatever you see that opponent for that particular time offers up, you kind of put together a game plan that way. Am I assuming that correctly?
You're 100% correct. I tell people all the time, it ain't rocket science. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to play to my strengths and the defensive weaknesses. That's just it. So you're right. 1 week we might see this where we need to attack. It may be a defensive lineman, it may be a linebacker, it may be a corner, it may be a safety. But wherever we think the weakness is in that defense, that's where we're going to try to attack. And we are multiple. And the reason we are multiple because we want to be able to play to our strengths. So if you say we Stanford, we're going to put 2 tight ends in a game, we're going to put the fullback in a game, we're going to pound you. Well, what if your offensive lineman ain't that strong? Or you don't have 2 good big tight ends, and you don't have a big fullback, and you don't have a big bruising running back, So you got to play to your strengths, So if you got 5 wide receivers, you got to spread it out and throw it. If you got a quarterback that can't throw, you better run the ball. If you got a quarterback that can't throw, you need to throw the ball. But you got to be able to protect them. So you need to play to your strengths. Don't ask your kids to do stuff that they can't do because they're not going to be successful doing that.
Right. Now, does that affect how you recruit?
Of course. You try to recruit the best. We try to recruit difference makers. Okay, number one, we try to recruit difference makers, guys that's tough, guys that love the game of football, and we try to get the best available. And even if it's at the same position, a position we're not needed, like late in the summer when we probably got 3 scholarships left and we're waiting for a difference maker. If we get him at the same position that we already got somebody, we're gonna take him.
Okay. Okay.
We want to go out after certain positions, but if an FBS running back come available that played the year before, 800 yards rushing, I'm taking him. I'm taking him. If he rushed for 800 at Clemson, what are you going to rush for in the SWAC?
I would imagine he had to be at least good for another 300 yards easily. Would you say?
Yeah. So Pittsburgh just threw a pick 6. He went out at the 17. He went out at 17.
You're killing me,
Coach.
You're killing me, Coach.
I know that's bad news, but you need to know that.
We're talking right now with Coach Connell, Maynor. He's just delivered me a blow that we threw an interception. I'll get caught up with it later on. But now, Coach, getting back to your method of coaching and adjusting the schemes and the skill set. One of my pet peeves is that no matter what conference and just football in general, everybody copies each other and no one knows their true identity. Right.
Well, yeah, you got a copycat league and, they see plays and they copy those. You got, as a play caller, you have to run your stuff and play to your strengths, defense, weakness, and then you got to set plays up. And, you can't just run somebody else's play. You have to set that play up, so you got to have, when you got one play, you got to have 2 or 3 other plays off of that play, a bootleg, a play action, off of that play. So you can't just be watching film, putting in other people's plays, because when are you going to run it? What are you setting it up off of? How are you setting them up to run that play? So some people just steal plays and just call them. You don't just call plays. You call plays because you see something. And that's what we do. Coach Taylor is my OC, and he was up under me, I was one of the OCs that I didn't really use my strip. I have my strip on my waist, but I don't use my strip. I call plays by what I see on defense and what to my strengths. So, and I always tell people, I put the plays on the play sheet. I know what plays on the play sheet. I know what I put on there for 3rd and 1. I know what I put on there for 3rd and 5. I know what I put on there for 3rd and long. So I know exactly what's on the sheet already. I don't have to stare the sheet down to call the play.
Okay.
So, so we looking out there, we seeing what's going on, man. You know what? We running power pretty good. But I wanted to run some inside zone and some counter. What for? They can't stop power. Hey, it's 3rd down and 2. We're going to run power. They ain't stopped it all day. I don't have to look at my sheet to see what my third down plays are because I haven't run a lot of those, but I know this play right here is working. So I'm going to run it because the defense end plan is a certain way or we just blowing them off the ball. Okay, I'm not going to go to the sheet and run a jet sweep because I had that down on the sheet. No, I'm going to run power because I know they can't stop power.
I know
so
that's
it's
right.
like you said, we're always looking at the defense, how they line up on fourth downs. A lot of times I put 5 receivers out there, and I see how they line up. If they don't cover somebody up, we're going to take the ball and throw it to that guy. I mean, seriously, you probably got a regular defense in there. I put 5 receivers in there. You don't adjust, I'm going to take the hitch.
Okay, you just gonna take what you give me,
yeah,
and I'll nitpick my way and keep the ball moving and give me.
And
some
a lot
points.
of times they call timeout.
Right, because
they're running timeout.
Right, because they're confusing, which can come back to haunt them down the road.
Right.
Right. You made a mention. I'm sorry, Coach. You made
go ahead.
You made a mention about the players, and we did a poll about a couple of weeks ago, and I'm gonna run you this poll. You got 1 scholarship left, Coach. 1 scholarship left, and you're in pretty good shape. And you got the choice of 4 ball players. All of them, we're gonna say 3-star players, but you only got 1 scholarship left in 1 spot. And the options are a kicker, long snapper, linebacker, or running back. Who are you taking and why?
Okay, that all depends on what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kicker. I mean, like I say, if I got a kicker and he's like a junior, I got him for 2 more years. I don't need a kicker. It's same thing, long snapper, any of those positions. But I think probably it depends. If I needed one of every position, okay, say like we was weak. We had one of each of those positions, but we weren't that strong.
Right.
You said a kicker, a long snapper, a running back, and who?
And a linebacker.
And a linebacker.
Let's say middle linebacker because middle linebackers are important too.
Yeah, they are. I'll be honest with you. I'd probably take the long snapper.
I would have taken the kicker.
All right.
Because of special teams. I was saying that to lead to if there's ever an Achilles heel for when I say we, SWAC plays out of conference, it is with special teams. And if I know I got a kicker that's good from 40, 45 yards, that changes my whole approach and risk management during the course of the game.
Yeah. The reason I say, and you asked me to tell you the reason why. The reason I take the long snapper is because of special teams, like you said. But if you can't get that punt back, that snap back there fast enough on a punt, guess what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
It's going to get blocked. It's going to get blocked. You got everybody in America coming after your punts. And one high snap, one little bit to the left or right, when it's slow, it's going to get blocked. Okay? That field goal you're talking about, if you don't have that snapper that can get that ball back there to him on a timely matter, guess what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get blocked. Okay? So if you got a good kicker, a good punter, but you can't get the snap to him, or the snap is too slow, it's going to get blocked. So it don't matter if you got a good kicker or not. So in that situation, I'm going to take the snapper because I got to get it back there, and I'm going to take the average kicker I got, and we'll do what we can do.
Gotcha. We're talking right now with Coach Connell Maynor of the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. I know you got a chance to witness the SWAC championship. What was your outtake of that game and performance?
It was a great game. It kind of got away from Southern right there at the end, but they was in the game all the way, man. They was in the game, and like I say, right there at the end of the fourth quarter, it kind of got away from them a little bit. But it was a turnover fest early. I think both teams was probably a little nervous, being a championship game and a chance to represent the SWAC in the Celebration Bowl. I think both of them turned it over their first 2 possessions. And then they settled down and started playing some good football. But at the end of the day, Alcorn was just a little bit better than they were, made a couple more plays than they did. And that home field advantage, man, it's real. It's real to have that home field advantage, and Alcorn's had it the past 2 years, and that 12th man came through for them this year and last year. Matter of fact, so but it's this league is very tough. Like I say, we lost to Alcorn on the last play of the game, and I tell you, probably the 6-7 teams in this league is probably one possession from Alcorn. Alcorn is probably not one possession better than the 7th place team in this league. That's how good this league is. Everybody in the top 7 is right there, man. Is right there every week, man. You got to come to play every week, and it's one play here, one play there. Is the difference. Southern, we took the lead on Southern with 4 minutes, and they came back and scored a touchdown with like 30 seconds to beat us at their place. Grambling 10-10 in the fourth quarter. So, it's a very, very, very competitive league, and so a lot of teams had an opportunity to win it.
Yes, sir. Now, it's ironic that you would say that because the SWAC is very competitive, and sometimes, and maybe you'll understand what I'm saying when I say this, I believe that we need to be preparing our teams for beyond the SWAC. And when I say that, yes, you want to be competitive in your conference, but when you step outside, i.e., the Celebration Bowl, i.e., a non-conference bowl, you want to be able to match up with me, and this is me speaking. I think that the SWAC is more finesse conference when it comes to certain things of execution. And in the case of our brethren on the east side, the MEAC, they more of a physical approach. And I think when we come to meet in the MEAC SWAC challenges and the Celebration Bowls, those styles contrast, and we've been coming up short from the Southwestern Athletic Conference side.
Yeah, we have, but I think one of the problems is we ran into a very good North Carolina A&T team. They've been real good, dominant for the past 4 or 5 years. And they won 3 Celebration Bowls, and then North Carolina Central was in the one that the SWAC won, and they lost 9-10. But A&T they've been one possession games. But A&T has beat some FBS programs in the last 3 years.
Yes, sir.
It seems like every year they beating somebody. They beat Jacksonville State. The opening game a couple years ago. They beat East Carolina. So they've beaten some FBS football teams, and they got a very good program. And the SWAC, I'm saying, is kind of just ran into probably the best team in HBCU, over the past 5 years. But it still has been a one possession games every year. And last year was a 2-point. Last year was a 2-point game, and Alcorn had the lead until A&T returned the kick on them.
Right.
So it's still been very competitive, and it's been a one possession game. But I think, I was in the MEAC for 4 years, and I've now been in the SWAC for 2. I think the SWAC is probably a little better top to bottom. I think MEAC is, they got South Carolina State, FAM, A&T, and Bethune. I think those 4 are the top of that conference, and then you get a drop off.
Okay.
And you don't have that in our conference. You don't have that big drop off. You got to get to team 7 or 8 before you get a drop off.
Mm-hmm.
So look at Alabama State this year. They almost beat UNA. UAB.
Right.
UAB at their place. I think it was 22-19 or something. So SWAC is competitive, and we could play outside the conference, but the SWAC issue is they have too many teams. We have too many teams that play after the season, and so they're not eligible to go to the playoffs. And so you're not going. It's going to be hard pressed to get a team in the playoffs to show that we can compete with these guys, we can play with these guys, we can beat these guys on a national level, because we're not going to ever get anybody in there because everybody's playing after the season in their own game.
Right. Well, but once again, as we spoke earlier, if those that would remain, it's because you're talking about you got 3 teams that are involved. That's Alabama State, Grambling, Southern, and which you mentioned in the drop off at 6, 5, 6, 7. Those that are realistically in that 5, 6, 7 range need to adjust their schedule according so they could be considered. That's how I feel you counter that.
Right. That's what I'm trying to do. So one of the other things is if say you play those money games because HBCUs we need money, so we play 3 money games. In the case of South Carolina State, they almost play 3 every year. I mean, they play Clemson and they'll play 2 or 3 money games, big money games, and so now you're 0-3. You win 6 games in the conference, or 7 games in the conference. You go 7-4. They're not gonna let you in the playoffs. But 3 of your losses are to FBS football programs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that they have to take that in consideration, and they don't. They don't. I guarantee you, South Carolina State played 2 money games this year. I don't know what they scheduled, but they lost 3 games. But I guarantee you, at least 1 or 2 of them was money games. So what's really their record? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And they beat Wofford. So let's just say they had 1 money game. Let's just say they had 1 money game. Just take that off the schedule. So they really only got 2 losses.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach. Do you think it would help if we had lobbyists, if you would, i.e. the SIDs or someone from the conference to go and speak on our behalf to help draw that to the attention? Or is that something per institution should be dealing with?
No, I think the MEAC has a representation. I don't think we have any representation because of so many teams are not eligible to go play, and we gave up our automatic bid. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And basically the MEAC is giving up their automatic bid too because of the Celebration Bowl, because both number 1 teams have to go to the Celebration Bowl. So both conferences now, before it was just the SWAC and the MEAC could still go if they champions before the Celebration Bowl. They would still get in. They had an automatic bid. But now it's not like that because the champs have to go to the Celebration Bowl. And so they probably ain't going to take our second place team, which was South Carolina State this year, because they tied A&T, but A&T beat them head to head. So they was second place team in the MEAC, and they didn't get in.
Yes, sir. You're absolutely right about that. We're speaking with Coach Connell Maynor of the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Coach, it's been very refreshing, and I wanted to ask you these last 2 questions. Being with your style of preparing for teams and coaching for teams, how would you prepare for North Carolina A&T if you're Alcorn, and Alcorn if you're North Carolina A&T for this weekend coming up?
If I was Alcorn, I would focus on Martin. He got 1,300 yards rushing. He's probably one of the best running backs in FCS, and I try to make him one-dimensional. I try to stop him in the running game and force them to throw the ball, which they don't want to do. They really want to run the ball. And offensively, you got to try to get to the perimeter on them. It's hard to run up the middle on those guys. Hard to run on A&T at all. So you got to do some RPOs and try to get to the perimeter and use your passing game against those guys. And if I was A&T, Alcorn offensively, defensively, they dual threat. It's tough. They got a little running game, and the quarterback is a dual threat, and they can throw the ball. So you have to limit them to limit the big plays and try to make them work and drive down the field, and hopefully they'll make a mistake before they can get all the way down the football field. Offensively for A&T against Alcorn defense, they got a good defense. I think they was number 1 in the league. So it's tough. Southern was able to run the ball on last week, and we was able to run the ball on. So A&T might have a good formula with giving Martin the ball and trying to run the ball against them. But they have to try to stay balanced though, because that's a good football team.
Okay, Coach. Are you going to be bold and make a prediction?
Well, that's my alma mater, right?
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm Aggie.
Am I reading in between the lines, or you just gonna go on and see it, Coach?
I'm Aggie, man.
I got you, Coach. I got you. No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the candidness about it, because you want to see a competitive game. How about we say it like that?
Right. Oh yeah. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be a real good game, just like it was last year. it'll be a 4-quarter game, and it'll be a one-possession game. I guarantee you that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for making yourself available with us on tonight. And we got signing day coming up, and let's get together again, man, talk about the guys you got committed to your program.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Coach Connell Maynor of the A&M Bulldogs was our special guest on tonight. We're going to take us a break, give you an update of the Sunday night contest. I think we're all tied at 10. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back with more of the Sports Report Live right here from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Are you one of the many Americans that deal with the effects of diabetes? Diva Skin Conditioner could be the remedy that you need. Diva Skin Conditioner is a formulation that was designed with you in mind. Diva Skin Conditioner comes with a money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are in their product. For more information, visit divafeet.com. That's D-I-V-A-H, feet.com. Or you can speak with a representative by dialing 903-270-0026.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and another, and many, many more. And we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
I know that as parents, we work hard to do everything right. We baby-proof our homes, put our kids in car seats, and learn what to do in an emergency. Yet most parents don't know that children could be poisoned by lead paint in their own homes. Lead poisoning causes permanent learning and behavior disorders, and the culprit is usually dust from peeling or chipping lead paint, which goes from the children's hands right into their mouths. Keep paint in good condition in your home, daycare, and other places where your children live and play. Ask your doctor to test your child for lead poisoning and get your home tested too. For more information on how to address lead paint problems safely, call 1-800-424-LEAD. This has been a public service announcement from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Let's face it, from time to time, we'll have a need for an attorney, whether it's the case of a DUI, DWI, or any other circumstances that would find you on the other side of the law. Attorney Lee Van Richardson, located at 1047 Austin Street, is the one to call. Attorney Lee Van Richardson and his staff are equipped to help you get through your legal battles. Attorney Lee Van Richardson, 979-826-8008 in Hempstead, Texas. And welcome back to the Sports Report Live. The radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, here with you. We want to thank our special guest on tonight, Coach Connell Maynor, giving us a lot of insights on things as they're going to be coming. And at least at Alabama A&M, they're building toward both, as we mentioned last week's episodes of the Mike Prince Show, which can be featured here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. You might as well prepare for both of them and get, they say, your cake and ice cream and eat it all in one setting. As we get back into the swing of things, last report we had, Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills all tied at 10. They are in the fourth quarter of play, and it's a little bit under 10 minutes remaining in that contest. So we'll see what happens as that thing gets along the way. The Celebration Bowl will be coming up this weekend. North Carolina A&T Aggies and the Alcorn State Braves will be doing battle. As you heard, Coach Maynor said, hey, that's my alma mater, and do understand. And it should be a very good contest. I'm not going to give my projections just yet. I might wait till the Friday show, or I might even wait till the Saturday show with Carlos Brown. He'll have a special time and a special announcement coming up with that over the course of this weekend. And we'll, of course, hear from Miss Sandra Stamp. She's out of the sick room, and she's back, and she'll be in Atlanta taking care of some interviews and getting some things together. So it's going to be an exciting time to see and hear the events of the evening. So as we get prepared, it's all about, as they say, taking care of business. The Celebration Bowl, who do you believe is going to be the winner? Is it time for the SWAC to get back and make this thing at least 3-2? It's 3-1 going into year number 5. The Aggies have been dominant, and I'm just going to say FCS football, and I'm going to give it a little bit more than just the HBCU flavor. They have been a dominant program in FCS programming. Will that dominance continue this week? The world may never know. That's why they play the games. Meanwhile, Alcorn, 6 consecutive Eastern titles. When you count them out, they find a way to rise amongst the ashes and make things work. Whether it's a reserve quarterback, it's a reserve running back, the system is intact, and they know what it takes to get it done. Who will win? We are willing to take your phone calls and your comments that you can leave on our 24-hour message line. It's 713-570-6736, and you'll get a chance to leave your comments, your spiels, your questions, or whatnot on how do you think this 2019 Celebration Bowl is going to take off. And speaking of taking off, Navy took off on Army yesterday. It was absolutely no contest, and Navy wins hands down, but it's still always an exciting event, at least for me, to watch. And speaking of watch, the Heisman watch is over. I personally think this is going to be fuel in the tank for Jalen Hurts to stick it to LSU. But time will tell on that. I believe that Jalen Hurts and the Oklahoma Sooners will be victorious over LSU. Not by much, but enough to advance to take on Clemson, because I believe Clemson will have what it takes in the tank for those two to meet for the national championship. We're going to take us another break, and then we'll come back with some closing thoughts. You're listening to the Sports Report Live right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, and we'll be right back.
I know that as parents, we work hard. Have sports, we'll travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth, Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages! The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you 1 chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too.
I'm in.
Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get our closing thoughts, we finally were able to track him down. Our football guru, Johnny Football Coach. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, what's going on, man? Just having to sit down with my son, kind of keeping up with the game and, kind of catching up on last week.
Yes, sir. Well, look, right now it's not looking favorable for my beloved. Still, 17-10 is the score, but we still got some time left on that. Speaking of time left, Coach, we're kind of pressed for time, but give us a summary of how you saw this SWAC championship and what you think is going to happen. Well, not the SWAC championship, but what you think is going to happen coming up this weekend as the North Carolina A&T Aggies will take on the Alcorn State Braves. Who do you see winning this game and why?
Well, I think I'm going to get an edge to Alcorn this year. A&T failed to win a couple games and got beat by one of the worst teams in their conference. And, I don't think they have the edge over Alcorn. I think Alcorn been there, done that. It's hard to continue to beat a team every year, even though it does happen sometimes. I just don't want the Alcorn to be like the old Buffalo Bills, get beat 4 times in a row in the Super Bowl.
You don't want that Buffalo syndrome, right? Right now,
no, sir.
Well, right now, Buffalo is like a curse word to me. Right now, we're trailing 17-10 in the fourth quarter, but that's going to figure. What do you think are going to be some of the keys to success for Alcorn to win this game?
Well, if they play defense very well, and the thing about it is ball security. You can't be turning the ball over against a great team, and I think they'll be able to do those things, if they focus on playing good defense and not turning the ball over. I love the quarterback. He make things happen. He get out of the pocket and be able to extend plays. I think the run game is good, and anytime you go into the championship, you win the championship by 2 ways: great defense and run game.
Okay. Now, speaking of that, the Alcorn Braves last couple of games against Southern and Alabama A&M have been a little soft in the belly and protecting and stopping the run. Do you see that being a potential problem for them?
Yeah. Once again, if your run game is good and your defense is soft, one thing about it, it'll be a quick game. And it seemed like the team that has the ball at the end will win the game. You got to be able to stop the run, ain't no question.
Yes, sir. Now, Coach, we're coming up on National Signing Day in a couple of days, and everybody is, lining up and gearing up. You've been through this process. What is it that you're really focused on in right now as you get closer and closer to signing day?
I'll tell you what, I got different philosophies from some people. I remember a president told me at Lane College, he said, see, we're a small animal. We come out at night, and get the crumbs. We let the big boys go. And I think that's a period right now. I'm not saying don't recruit, but I wouldn't waste no money if I'm a Division III, Division II type team, unless I really got some guys that's going to come in January that I've been recruiting. And that means I'm already seen them on film. I've already been talking to them. Because, I've coached on the 1AA. I've coached on every level, but on the 1AA level and on the D2 level, I got my better players in the spring and in the summer.
Okay.
So, right now the big boys are flying around, jetting around and trying to lock down some kids. And, I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't panic. If I was a team in the MEAC or the SWAC, I wouldn't panic at all. Okay. A lot of times, coaches get caught up in we need to turn in a list. I think if you're not bringing a kid in, and I'm talking about when I'm saying bringing him in, that he's enrolling in January, I wouldn't panic on the lower level. That's for the big boys to do.
So the key is to be patient. Go fishing then.
No question. And sit back and wait. You got a lot of kids that disgruntled, from these Division I-A schools that didn't get to play, teams that didn't give them what they promised them. And, they looking for a team to find. They're looking for a place that they can call home. So, like I said, I wouldn't panic. They got the transfer portal now. I continue to check that. But like if I was at a Texas Southern or if I was at some Division I, AA or Division II team, we'll be in that office. We'll be sitting down watching film. But now, you got to use that huddle. And, we'll have to sit down and evaluate guys on the film and then make phone calls. We don't use the communication that way.
Okay.
But, when your recruiting budget ain't real big, you can't get out there.
You got to be creative. You got to be creative, right?
Very, very much so. You got to be creative.
Okay.
So, but I wouldn't panic. I'll sit around. And this is the time, too, Mike, that when you pick your staff, what kind of staff you pick. See, a lot of times people don't understand how important your staff. It ain't about them really knowing X's and O's. Do they know other coaches? Where they been? What's their background? And I'm not saying you got to pick a whole staff of guys that's been to 3, 4, 5 different schools, but you got to have those guys in place. I've had a lot of opportunity where people actually sent me players from either I've coached those kids, now they high school coaches, or we've done a great job with the kids they sent me before, parents that you met. So, like you said, you got to be very creative. I wouldn't be panicking if I'm on the lower tier of the Division I, AA, or the Division II, but, it's very important. Recruiting is the legs of any program.
Man, it's amazing that you bless me with a little knowledge and a little bit more wisdom each week we get together, and I truly, truly appreciate you for that. And we've run out of time again, Coach. But you saying Alcorn, Coach from our earlier segment, because he is an alumni from North Carolina A&T, Connell, Maynor, he says A&T. I'm going to hold off until Friday before I make my projection, but I will make one. Coach, I appreciate you very much, sir. We appreciate those of you who joined us on tonight for our episode. We want to thank you and remind you that you can join us Monday morning beginning at 10 a.m. with the Mike Prince Show and everything else that follows after. The Carlos Brown Show, She Said, the Sports Report, and much, much more. I have got the exit stage left for right now. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hip hop.